Shalom and welcome to another edition of our Daily Bread. This is Messianic Torah, and this is Living the Parashat for Parashat Vayigash 2014-15. And these videos are a quick 5-minute video to just take kind of a point out of the Torah portion and then show us how we can apply that and live it out and take it from the page into life. And that's really breathing life into the scriptures. Again, because you're actually being a physical representation, a living representation of that Torah. So for some, it's super simple. The points are obvious what to do. Other times, there's ones you have to kind of extract out of there and see how we could apply that. So this one is called Revealing Himself to His Brothers. And in this one, we take from the Parashah, we take Yosef is going to reveal himself to his brothers. He finally gets to a point where he's overwhelmed with emotion, and he had been testing them, and now Yehuda in Vayigash offers himself up instead of Benjamin, so he could spare his father any heartache. And this finally is just too much, and Yosef reveals, such a dramatic change from where they were before, wanting to kill him, that he finally reveals himself to them. And so the practical application to this is about Mashiach. Yosef, in this case, is a model of Mashiach. And Yosef was foreign to them. He was foreign to them in the way that he looked while they were not doing the will of their father. And once they started changing from their way of thinking, which was to kill Yosef, the most beloved of their father, and once they aligned with the father's will, all of a sudden what happened was the person that they saw before, that was this minister, right, who was ultimately Yosef, but they couldn't see him, now he's revealed to them. And so a lot of times this goes back to how we approach the scriptures in our Torah study. Do we approach the scriptures thinking we know it? Because Joseph's brothers thought they knew who they were dealing with. But it wasn't until they made the right choices that they were actually able to see Yosef, their brother, for who he really was, and see him in a different way, and see through that. And I feel like the scriptures are the same way. And when you really start to push yourself to line up with the Word of God, when you seek to do His will and to live it, and when you go and you humble yourself, which is what the whole prophecy was, right? They were going to bow down before their brother, and that made them angry. Why? Because they were not willing. And the pattern is, if Yosef represented Mashiach, that's the same way. Some people will not humble themselves, technically. Like even with Christians is a great example. They say they follow Jesus, right? But they won't obey the law. And so to me, that's kind of like saying, well, we're brothers, but we're not going to bow down to you, right? We're not going to bow down to this Torah. But ultimately, Messiah bowed down to the Torah, right? He bowed down to the law and to the will of God. And yet the people who follow Messiah aren't willing to do that. So in a way, they're elevating themselves greater than. They think that they are greater than Messiah. Because Messiah bowed down to the Torah and they're not willing to. And so it's this little bit of rebellion. And because of that, when they read the Bible, they're not going to see. They think they know what they're seeing. They think they know who Jesus is. But that's just like Joseph's brothers thinking they know who this Egyptian was in front of them. But what they're seeing is a worldly view of God. Their interpretation of the scriptures in the New Testament is like seeing Yosef but not knowing who it is. They're seeing it differently. But once they submit themselves and bow down, as Joseph's brothers do, they humble themselves, then all of a sudden He'll reveal Himself to you, and all of a sudden you go, okay. So if you say, hey, I want to follow God, I want to serve God, and you're willing to read the Word of God from the start to the finish, saying, I'm going to obey whatever it says to do, by the time you get to the New Testament, you will see Yosef, and you will see Messiah. He will reveal himself to you, and that will be life and to you. So that's the moment for today. Hopefully you can chew on that and apply that in the way that you humbly reread the scriptures and don't assume that you know what you think you know. Till next time, I'm going to say Shalom.